Good morning. It's really interesting. It's ironic and very ironic that I would be asked to share about holy living with you guys this morning because as you are going through the policies, there's no doubt that I have, as a student here, broke every one of them on more than one occasion, and it really blows me away to see God's redemptive work and His grace in my life that would allow me to come and share. There's been a lot of great thoughts. I don't have a lot to add, but just some personal things that the Lord has done in my life and the passion that He's put there. Actually, over breakfast this morning, I asked my 3-year-old. I told her I was going to come and share with you guys today. I said, "What do you think holy living is?" I did not think I was going to get an answer, and she said, "Daddy, remember when you told me the story about Moses and the bush that was burning, and God told him to take his shoes off?" And I said, "Why is that?" She said, "Because it was holy ground." And so when I'm just thinking, because it's separate, it's different. It's not the normal ground that is there. And when I think about holy living and teaching that's what makes me burn. That's where my passion is. There's an old proverb that I thought of that says, "You give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." And so in the concept that what is different about our lives, and I'm hear a lot about our culture and it creeping in here to CCU, which I'm experiencing. But one of the battles that I face is not just not doing the things not to do, but it's fighting against the common average Christian life. Does that make sense? Not just being your common Christian. Thanks, Sid. Appreciate it.
It's holy living.
Amen. But not just being the average Christian that goes to church on Sunday and lives their life the way they want to the rest of the week. What does it look like to be someone who really pursues God and lives differently? And one of the stats that I've heard is that 60% now of people, even within the church, 50 to 60% are ending up divorced to get married. And one of the passions that I have, and I shared this with my team the other day, is we have 13 guys on the team. And if God doesn't do something and impact your life while you're here in the next few years, the reality is that may happen down the road with you. If your life isn't different because you know God personally, where are you gonna end up down the road and trying to cast vision there? There's a passage, Ephesians is one of my favorite books, and when you look in Ephesians 3, there's some amazing prayers that Paul prays, and one of them is, he says, "I pray that Christ may dwell in your hearts." And I'm not a Greek scholar, but I like to look that up, and the word for dwell there, I probably will ruin or not pronounce it correctly, but it's peripateo, which means to walk around or tread all around in there. And when I think about my life with God, that's what I want. I want the Lord to have complete access to every room in my life, every area. And when I look at personally, the thing of mentorship or discipleship has been that there's been people that have intentionally opened up their life to me. And when I went on staff with Campus Crusade, with the Ministry of Athletes in Action, and moved to Cincinnati, the president of that organization opened his house to me and let me live with him and 4 children with his wife. And I will never forget that. I came from a pretty rough family, and so to have the opportunity to live there every day, access to every aspect of their lives, and to see what it meant to be a godly husband and a godly father, of holy living. What does that look like? Not just being imparted knowledge or the do's and the don'ts, but what does it really look like lived out? Changed my life. And the second one is one of the reasons I'm excited about CCU. Jim, you talked about the community, but it's Scott. You have opened your life to me, and I'm sitting there listening to you and just thinking that you haven't held anything back, and the way that's helped me in my life, and wanting to see that and impart that to other people, especially to the students. And Shauna, you said at the end of your time, are we willing to take the time to do that? And last night at 5:30, I'd already been here 10 hours. One of my players came in and wanted to talk, and 2.5 hours later, I finally got home to my wife and was barely able to put my daughter to bed, but it was worth it. And one of the things that I shared with him that you've already heard a couple different ways is I want my life to count. I want something that God will do in my life to count beyond just being a basketball coach that wins a few games or a champ. I want it to count. And the way that I've seen it in my life is that people have imparted that to me. They've invested, they've opened their lives up to me. And my prayer is a conversation I had last night that was 2.5 hours longer than what I wanted. I hadn't eaten dinner. But that this young man will look back and say, that night changed my life. There were some questions asked. There was something there that I can look back at and change my life. So I'm just going to leave you with another question. It's kind of been said already, but I just wrote it down. It says, am I willing to open up my life? And not just the knowledge that I know, the bad things that are there. Am I willing to be authentic and open with what's going on? And then am I willing to sacrifice interruptions to my life, sacrifice time and energy to invest in someone else?